Hello? Seems to hear.
There you go. Heard somebody there.
Yeah, that was me.
Jessica, we can hear you, but we can only see 2 of the people at the meeting.
Oh, yeah, Steve, you want to lean over here on the camera? And Richard? You're just sitting too far away from the table. I set it up so the table would be in there. All right, everybody can hear? I was calling roll and you didn't answer me, Paige.
What's that?
I was calling the roll and you didn't answer me. So I thought
You just came, your audio just came on. It sounded like the chipmunks and we could not hear you until just a second ago, but yes, I'm here.
Since you probably heard nothing I said last time. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Gold Hill Parks Committee meeting. All right, much better. Good. All right, so we're going to start. I'm going to call the roll, and then we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, let's do that again. Larry Holm.
Present.
Steve Kiesling.
Here.
Paige Pruitt.
Yes, here.
Dan Fish. Lorraine Parks. Here. All right, we have a quorum. We all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So there are no agenda adjustments except for this. The introduction and selection of a chairperson, I guess we're not really going to adjust it, but I would like you all to take this time to introduce yourselves to each other and to the members of the public that are listening. You don't have to select a chairperson today. If you'd like to get to know each other better first, we can skip that part, but let's at least start with introductions. Paige, do you want to start first since you're on the computer, and then we'll go around the room in here?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Paige Pruitt. Nice to meet you all. I have lived here near the park, sports park, since 2004. I use the park multiple times a week to walk my dogs and to get exercise. I also have a history working in parks for my career. I've worked for Virginia State Parks and I've worked for City of Ashland Parks and Recreation. I currently work for the Oregon State Legislature, but most of my work over a time has been with, all of my work has been with either nonprofits or government organizations. I have a lot of experience with writing grants and working with volunteers that I'm hoping will be applicable here. And in 2016, I earned a master's in public administration, which I'm also hoping to utilize to benefit the city of Gold Hill. I'm currently on the board of Rogue Basin Partnership, which is a collaboration of organizations in the Valley that are working on restoration of the Rogue River Basin, and hope to bring in some of those connections to help benefit our park system here in Gold Hill.
So, I'm Steve Kiesling, and I've lived in this area now about 20 years, guess, and I've been in Oregon for 30. I've been involved in a lot of park projects. In Ashland, helped start the ice rink and the skateboard park and the rowing club. And here I built a playground that washed away, and we've been working on a lot of parks, mostly the Whitewater Park, and hoping to bring the Olympics here in 2028 if that happens. Anyway, I love parks. That's my passion. Glad to be here.
My name's Larry Holm, and I've been here 43 years, and I've been involved in most projects that have happened in the park I've been involved in. And I helped finish out, with the help of a lot of people getting it to that point, the dog park. And I've built rocky areas that you see are flat now, even where the dog park is and everything. That was unusable unless you were a squirrel hunter, and pretty much got stuff. So we had a soccer field going there and baseball, and I was active in the Little League. I didn't build those parks, maybe the girls I was in on, but the boys. But I went through a phase with that. I love the outdoors, love Gold Hill, and if I can be of service and work with everybody, I'm a pretty happy boy.
Hi, I'm Lorraine Parks, and as a counselor, I worked on the skate park, the downtown park, and the sports park in Lampman. We acquired Lampman during my tenure, and I enjoyed everything about working with the parks with Rob Lowe and Donna Silva, and just want to continue that work.
My name is Richard Hart. I moved here in the 80s from Santa Cruz County, where I was in high school. I was involved a lot in student representation in the parks and actual building of several parks in our area. It's always been an area of mine that I like, and what it brings to not only a community and the children of that community, but outside things also. I've been working lately, the last couple of years, trying to help out in the Parks Department here, doing volunteering some tree work. I was part of the original master plan when that was formed, and I'm just looking forward to being a productive part of the future of the beautification and health of the park system that we have, and following some of the things that were in the hard work that we took to build this master plan, see some of that start to take fruition and move forward. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, so like I said, if you're interested in just selecting a chairperson right off the bat, you can. Otherwise, you can hold off on doing that. I'd also at some point like you to select a secretary of some kind to take the minutes. Anyway, we'll get there. It's up to you to discuss right now what you want to do about that. And if you want to skip that, then we can move on to public input.
Well, I would volunteer to be the secretary.
Okay.
If no one else is interested, I'm pretty good at taking minutes.
I noticed that you were taking notes, and I didn't want to be rude or presumptuous and suggest that you do.
No, I would be happy to be the secretary.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you, Brian.
Good.
So any interest in discussing the chairperson position, or you want to just wait?
I'd elect Steve.
So one of the things that we're going to talk about later is possibly scheduling your next meeting so that you can go and meet in the parks and talk about what needs to be done and spend some time with each other. So, you know, I would suggest you wait until then, since you don't all know each other, but it's not up to me, it's up to you. So
Technically, it might be smart.
It's always good to go to the park.
Yeah, let's go to the parks.
Yes, it is.
okay, well, if there's no further discussion, then we will just move on to public input.
Yeah, Jessica, if you could just provide potentially some what that role would entail, how that would be different from being a regular committee member, and we can take a look at that before we meet next time.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I think the only difference is that you would be the person running the meeting instead of me. You would be the person who would appear before the city council to make the presentation whenever the Parks Committee has something to recommend to them. I don't know if there's anything else that I think that would about sum it up. So yeah, just the general cat wrangler, I guess. All right, so we'll move on to public input then. So for those of you who are listening, if you would like, I'm gonna click through here. If you'd like to make a statement, I think you can raise your hand. Go to the view where I can see everybody. Okay, and I also mean raise your hand virtually. There's a little reaction button, I think. Where's the, I don't know where you do it. Sorry, I'm just making this up as I go here. Yeah. Okay, well, I saw a hand. Yes, there you go. That works right there. The little reaction button makes your hand raise. I see another hand. All right, we'll start here. And just make sure you say your name and address for the record.
My name is Counselor Daniela Hinckley. I live at 1187 2nd Street, Gold Hill, Oregon, 97525. Now, I know that right now it's public input and there are a number of people here who are not in support of the Whitewater Park, and they are probably going to address you today. What I would like to use my public input time for is to request a formal meeting specifically for that and to have it put on the agenda as an item for us to address this committee about that specific issue. There are a number of questions that people have about the Whitewater Park, and there are a number of issues that they would like to bring up. I think that public input is probably not the best way to do that. You guys are going to get a lot of repeats and a lot of people who are just trying to get their opinion heard, whereas I think a much more formal setting and having it on an agenda item would be the best way to go about that. Ultimately, it's up to you. I would just like to make that opinion heard. And really, I'm just going to let the rest of the public have their statement and their time, but I would really appreciate being put on the agenda.
Okay. Next up, I saw a hand raised here. This is Nikki Johnson.
So
I clicked the wrong button there. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Hi, my name's Danielle Johnson. I live at 185 Kellogg Street in Gold Hill. I just, along with what Danielle was saying, I'm just one of the public that has some questions about the Whitewater Park. I don't know if this would be the time to have those questions addressed or express some concerns about some questions that other people have that we've discussed on social media through the Gold Hill Facebook page. So I don't know, should I ask questions now or should we wait for a different meeting to address specifically the Whitewater Park?
I think that would be the best way to handle it, but I think you've made it known that you feel the same way. You want that on the agenda so that you can discuss it.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. I'm sorry, I guess I didn't hear your sentence. Can you just repeat the last thing that you said?
That we're going to put your, I wrote down your request to put the Whitewater Park on the agenda.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I think I did see Counselor Bishai. Are you there? Yeah, there we go.
I'm here, but I don't think, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, a minute ago I was muted. No, I was just waving my hand to be helpful about the reactions. I don't have anything to say. I'm just observing.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Just turn on your camera, wave, or push the little hand wave button and I'll see you.
I do have something that was submitted. It's a series of questions. The person told me that they had sent them to Dwayne and they would like them to be read into the record. I'm not sure if you want me to read those into the record or if you just like Dwayne to submit them to Lorraine for minutes. I don't know if you guys have them right now.
Yeah, I have a copy of them right here. I was just waiting to get everybody to
Okay.
call first.
All right. Okay. Wanted to check. Thanks.
you know, you could read them if you wanted to, I guess, or we could just put them on the record, because it sounds like it's the same thing that the Whitewater Park needs to go on the agenda. So I will submit them to Lorraine to be part of the record. And I will get all of the committee members a copy of the questions. But yeah, it's also about the Whitewater Park.
And who is submitting them?
And it's from Christine Alford. Something, Second Avenue. I don't know what her address is. I could read them to you if you like. But it's about the Whitewater Park, so
Right.
it sounds like everybody wants the Whitewater Park on your next agenda.
Been on the agenda for 6 years, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it.
Do I understand right that you're looking for a resolution?
Yeah, well, ultimately,
I have something to say about that.
All right, and we'll get to that part next. It looks like that's it for public input. We did just have someone else join the meeting. Is there anyone else who would like to participate in public input on the meeting call? You can raise your hand. Did you find that little hand button? Okay, I'm going to read these questions out loud before we go. Has Whitewater Park provided a copy of the letter that they are asking the city to sign to the public and to City Hall? Are the Whitewater Park owners, are they willing to give their property to the city of Gold Hill in order to go forward with their project? If that became the only way to make the project happen, will they sign that property over to Gold Hill? Does the Whitewater Project have any reports from ODFW or Oregon Department of Recreation that they can give copies of to the city? Has anyone representing Gold Hill had an independent inquiry to the ODFW regarding this project, and if so, is there a report on that information? Does the city charter even permit a council to enter into a partnership with a private entity? Are they authorized to do that? Has anyone consulted our own legal counsel and required a report on what a public-private partnership entails? Are the Whitewater Park proponents willing to annex their property into the city of Gold Hill? Is there a report on the city's insurer position? Can you guys still hear me? I just got a message about my microphone. Let me check it, make sure it's working. Okay, you can still hear me. All right, I guess it's just waiting out. Okay. Is there a report on the city's insurer position on this proposed partnership? Are they going to indemnify the city becoming the lead agency in this project after telling the city that they don't want the city to become the lead agency? Or are the property owners going to be indemnifying this with their property? What are the extent of the records that Gold Hill City Hall is currently in possession of regarding the Whitewater Park that we were told became their partner? Does Gold Hill City Hall have a copy of all grants that the Whitewater Park have applied for in the name of Gold Hill? Can the city and our Parks Committee get an official roster of the names and addresses of can-do members so that the public can ascertain how much of the influence how much of the influence is from the actual stakeholders and how many members are not Gold Hill taxpayers? Also, can somebody on Parks take up the issue of the destruction of a small pocket park at the corner of Cadner and Riverside that was recently destroyed by a city councilor whose property is adjacent to it? Can somebody on the Parks Committee take up a recommendation that councilor be required to restore the little park and Riverside swing that has been there for at least 40 years? That is all the questions.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to know how to respond. The questions kind of show such a lack of understanding of the project that I think it's really important that we have a public meeting once again to try and explain it to people who are just seem incapable of understanding what's happening. Right? And I mean, I guess we just
So at this point, if you want to say we should have a meeting, or you And
Yeah, so we
public
should
input
just,
is not a place for interaction.
yeah, we just need to have another meeting and hopefully.
Yeah, the misinformation about this project is astounding.
Again, this is not the,
Yeah, no, let's
we'll get
just,
to that, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, let's have another meeting.
Transparent.
All right,
And
so-
one of the things that we should, anyone who is interested, I mean, who is seriously interested in learning about the project and I think that.
Steve, I appreciate.
Okay, but anyway, you
This
should
is
come
not-
out and take a tour. At any time.
Yeah.
Just call me up. You can contact me through the city hall. Take a tour, come and understand it.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda. I know, if you'd like to meet with me separately and learn about public meeting rules and what you can and can't do, I know we haven't had any courses on that, but public input is for the public to have their say to you. You can't, it doesn't become an
Okay.
exchange because, yeah.
Right, and sometimes you have to look inside the person who's making the statement, what their agenda is. You know, maybe it's just obstructionist.
So we're gonna move on to the next item on the agenda, which is consideration of projects to be undertaken. I left this intentionally vague because I don't know where you want to go. I put a couple of copies of the Parks Master Plan on the tables, and it is now available on our website. If anybody wants to see it, just go to our website and look under City Hall Master Plans, and you'll see the Parks Master Plan there. This was approved in 2015, I believe. And Richard, you said you were on the committees that helped do that?
He was, I believe there was a
You
list.
were too, Lorraine?
There was a list, I believe, on, right at the beginning of this page, the second page has the advisory committee, Jan Fish, Sarah Hansberg, Richard Hart, Sam Hefner, Eric Hodson, Steve Kiesling, Rob Lowe, Lorraine Parks, Donna Silver, and Ray Smith were all on that. We did a lot of public input on this. We had kids from the school participate. We polled the people of the town. It was amazing how much input from so many different angles that we had on this original plan and where we wanted to take the parks over the next 20 years is where we were pointing at that time.
Can you guys still hear me? It looks like we lost video there for a second, but we're back. Okay, so you can still hear, you just couldn't see. All right, super fun. So at this point, if any committee member has, like I initially suggested, well, it wasn't my suggestion, but if you want to schedule a meeting so that you can walk through the parks as a way to kick this off.
Yes. I think that if we can't have the public take a walk through there, first of all, we can take the people who are all working on this together through there, have an informational tour of what we're talking about. That way, when we communicate with the public at their meeting, we have a better understanding of what we're really talking about, and we're not comparing apples to oranges.
But if you do all go together to walk through the park, I will notice that as a public meeting, so the public can attend as well, because if you're all together, yeah.
That would be great. I think that's what we were asking for originally.
So let's set a date for that then, shall we? Paige, are you able to unmute yourself so you can participate? Okay,
Hold up your hand.
there you go.
Participate.
Are we going to be talking, are we setting a meeting and then moving into closing this meeting, or what? How do you foresee the rest of the remainder of this agenda?
I think that is entirely up to you. If there's something else you want to talk about today, then, if there's some other thing, you got something, Larry? And so,
We're still on the projects.
yes,
Sooner or later, we're gonna have to address the walking trail. A lot of big cracks again. If you don't address them and blow all the dirt and weeds out of there and put it in there right, it just, sooner or later, I've been in other parks and it just starts cracking apart, and it is our duty, the way I understood it when we went in partners on getting that park laid out and everything, that it's our job to keep the trail up. That's the asphalt trail. And it is getting to a point where another year, it could be really ugly and people are tripping in it. It's just something we need to think about because it'll either take our effort and we do probably need some hot tar to put down in there or something. So that's just something to think about.
Maintenance of the park is definitely something.
Yes, I was, one of the projects that I was looking for some volunteers, I found several carpenters who had already said that they would help, as well as myself. The roofs on the covered areas by the barbecues there were originally some type of shakes. They're coming apart. Number one, it's kind of a fire hazard. Number two, from the looks underside, the structures are in good enough shape that if we repair the roofs now, that we can do it at a reasonable cost. And that's one of the things I was trying to find some people to volunteer time and or materials to work on that project. It was just kind of a side thing that I was doing. But it's something that if we're going to be talking about projects, that is something that is not much cost, and with community help and with these projects using community help, we can build a better and stronger park system by allowing involvement and transparency and friendship within our parks and working as a group. So that's one of the projects that I'm going to be working on, as well as I will be doing tree work almost weekly in the park, and I'm looking for volunteers to help clean up afterwards. After I chip the brush, want to sweep or rake, possibly a weed whacker Wednesday where volunteers could come in and help with the maintenance along the trails, as our parks department is only a very small amount of people and there's a lot of land to be done. So we are looking for volunteers.
Yeah, that could go hand in hand with what Paige wants to talk about.
Okay, good. It seemed like that was part of what she was.
Go ahead, Paige.
Hi, everyone. So I think I'll start by saying that in response to what the public input was today, yes, we very much should have a time where we really give people who have public input and public arguments, public questions, whatever the public would like to know or hear around the Whitewater Park, that there are a lot of people who don't understand. That doesn't mean they're not capable of understanding or they're trying to be obstructionist in any way. I think that we really need to give anyone who wants to be heard, who has questions, a fair shake. We are a new committee, a brand new committee, and we need to earn the public's trust. And part of that is by being good listeners and by being open to public input. We are coming into it with our own projects and our own ideas of what the park should look like, but there are a lot of people who live within the city of Gold Hill and surrounding areas who also have ideas that we need to really be cognizant of and fair about. But regarding the projects that we are looking at, I think that we need to hold in sight that this is the Parks Committee, and we're not just here to talk about a hotbed issue that is before us. There are a lot of things in the parks that need attention. And personally, before we move on to really grand, expensive ideas, I think the parks we need to take a step back and look at what the parks need. We have beautiful resources that have lots of litter, that have lots of need for maintenance, that have a massive overgrowth of blackberries and non-native plants, tons of graffiti. Before we really look at investing in a lot of time and energy in big grand plans, we need to maintain what we've got. We need to find out how we're going to fund and staff with volunteers or others to do some of these things. For example, one idea I have is putting together a graffiti brigade. A few volunteers who might be willing to know where the paint is and where the paintbrushes are. And when we see graffiti and report it, they can go out and take care of it in the next couple of weeks. We have less expensive projects that we could look at, like a playground, replacing a playground in an area out of the flood zone so that we can host children in the park. We do have cracks in the sidewalk that need to be maintained. We have trash cans that are covered in graffiti and beat up. So let's really look at what we can do to make the park that we already have there shine and be as useful as possible. We have, I'm not sure the amount of land area of the park that is consumed now by blackberries, but we have a lot of opportunity to give much better river access to people who maybe need better access to reach the river. I know that I think it was Lorraine who had some ideas around handicap access that would be wonderful, so we can provide more opportunity for the people in Gold Hill to use the park. And we need to look at pulling out a lot of these non-native plants and replacing them with native species that host wildlife. And we saw in Talent in Phoenix that the blackberries were the driver of the wildfire. And that can happen here in Gold Hill too. So we look at funding opportunities and partners within the valley that can help to come in and remove those blackberries and replace them and make it, return it to more of what the park should have looked like before it was run over with non-native plants. So that's really where I come from, as a place of looking at how we can figure out how to make the park useful, safe, and beautiful before we really try to take on massive projects. I mean, I do have ideas around what that could look like. I know that the city has some park land or some owns some land there at the base of Nugget Butte and has been in contact with BLM about putting a mountain bike path up there. That would be a wonderful idea. We could probably find some really great grant dollars around that. However, I think that, you know, in our first couple of meetings, we might want to talk about how we maintain what we've got and how we can take care of the graffiti problem and the litter problem and the vandalism and the issues at the powerhouse, which are a safety issue and a fire hazard. So that's what I'm excited to work on, is figuring out how we can make our parks the best they can be with what we've got right now, and then looking at how we can find resources to expand and make them even better.
What I have to say about resolutions is they're empty without action. There's actually 2 resolutions to build a handicap fishing platform. One's dated 2014, the other one's dated 2020, and yet there's been no real action taken. There was a resolution to put a drinking fountain in the downtown park 10 years ago. Come on, people, we've got to take care of our housekeeping issues and our already long-standing resolutions. Not to say we shouldn't have more resolutions, but there's a lot of holes in our budget when it comes to the parks.
I agree.
We actually have a beach park cleanup coming up on Saturday, which Tony is orchestrated, I believe. And that's a really big deal. It has to be desperately cleanup. And one of the things about the beach park is that, I remember taking photographs on summer days when there's nobody in the sports park. It was too hot. Now the skate parks have a lot of kids, but the beach park always has people. And anyway, so it's really important that we go there. People turn out on Saturday and help clean it up. That's a big deal.
Well, what time does that start?
It starts at 9 o'clock.
It goes all day, I think 9 to 4.
9 to 3, let's go Lorraine Park. If you get your water bill in the mail, there's a song that
Yes, there is.
It's not a date, yeah.
One of the resources we have here that I was able to take advantage of this summer was the missionaries from the Latter-day Church. And they have, I understand it, 2 new gals who are also looking for work. And they do work for free. And the gals I work with were fantastic. And I recommend we tap into any resources that are available that will work with us to do, just clean up, just, picking up leaves, whatever it is. I worked with the ladies, Hill and Owens, and they were fantastic. Outworked me, for sure.
Back when the school was going full time and everything, it used to be pretty easy to talk to a couple of teachers and having their classes show up. In fact, when we started the trail, the asphalt trail, before that, we were selling little blocks with people's names on it to start. And that has nothing to do, but the kids were involved in it. And these kids around here do need things to do. Of course, we got COVID going, but wear the mask. And I've had older kids on cleanup day down here. Older kids meaning 35, 40, somewhere in there. They said, oh, you need help here, let us know. And so, you know, we need to think down the road or immediately. Let's start using more people we get involved in this town. We all know that everything goes up positively, including vandalism, and everything else starts disappearing if they become a part of it, if they have a vested interest in it. And I agree about blackberries. One time a guy next door went down, wanted to get rid of the blackberries. I live on the river. And thank goodness the wind was going that way that day, but it wiped out clear past Patrick's school in 15 minutes from my house down. And they had a heck of a time getting that out. But it was nice once they got it all out. You could see the river. There was things there, but it's growing back now. But as far as the park, we are losing a lot of space, and we need access to the river for people. That was a good suggestion. Very good. And inexpensive, probably, to, you know, just get our park in order, and then we can start talking about the more.
Also, I had tried to get a hold of Eugene Ware, who is working with the project in Lampman with doing the restoration project there. And I was hoping to maybe get myself and or one other or two other volunteers to go over there and have them teach us which invasive species we are able to take out and the best ways to deal with those. So I was trying to educate a couple people that would be willing to volunteer time in the parks and help us with at least identifying it. So then when I take in volunteers to work on these things, we don't take the wrong things.
Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. I'll talk to you, Jane.
Yeah. That would be trying to get done.
So I'm going to circle back around and have you guys decide on a time when you want to meet in the parks. You know, it's not just the sports park. There's also Lampman Park. I don't know if you guys want to do that on the same day, if you want to have two different. Yeah, go ahead, Paige. Oh, you keep muting your mic.
Well, it depends.
Thanks.
Our park, so you're going to walk probably 3 miles through it and back.
Yeah.
Right there. I know from my house all the way to the little lake field back is 3.5 miles. So that's something to think about on the people going, how far they want to go. And they don't have to make the whole trip maybe, but it would probably be pretty nice to look at both of them, because Lampman won't take real long, although I think it needs to be discussed while we're there, because I don't know much about Lampman Park, to be honest with you. I've caught some fish there years ago, but other than that, I hear good things are supposed to be gonna happen there, but I have no knowledge yet
Right.
about it.
Well, as Richard and I were talking about earlier, the Freshwater Trust is over there, but what they're doing has nothing to do with the park itself. Their whole goal is to plant native species, that big trees that tower over the river so that it can create shade and lower the temperature of the river.
For fish. Yeah.
Right. It has nothing to do with the maintenance of the park. That's still all
Okay.
on us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it did involve putting in several trails, I believe, so that it
Yes.
would not impact as people go in and out and have their access, that it wouldn't, the plants that they're putting in wouldn't be a problem with that. They're going to take out the invasive species, put in these new species, and work on the pathways, was my understanding.
Is it a rumor that they were gonna do a boat ramp there? And
Yes. So what that is they left a portion of the place that some of the city councilors decided would be a good place to put in a boat ramp in the future, so they just didn't plant in that spot. So if we wanted to put in a boat ramp, we could, but they're not putting in a boat ramp. They just left that spot alone in case we want
But
to.
that's an expensive endeavor.
Right, and we weren't planning on putting a boat ramp, we just want to leave that option open for the future.
Sure, great.
I think as far as the Blackberry issue, if we could maybe have that as an agenda item to kind of start tackling like who our partners could be and what that might look like. You know, Rogue Valley Council of Governments and Jackson Soil and Water Conservation District come to mind. We also might be able to look at some type of wildfire resources, wildfire planning and mitigation so that we're not a hotbed. So if we could maybe have some time to brainstorm around that and see what some action items are, that'd be great.
Okay,
Contacting the water department.
so again, would you like to pick a date to walk through the park? Would you like to do both on the same day or one at a time? Because Slamton is a pretty big park as well.
Before Thanksgiving or after?
It's up to you entirely.
I think they should be 2 different days.
Okay.
Excitement is a whole issue
Yes.
to itself.
Probably, then you're not dealing with transportation, everybody getting there at the same time. But I'd like to see it happen, get things rolling. But after Thanksgiving seems long, but on the other hand, it's right around the corner.
It is.
I'll go no matter what, because I'm retired, like half of us. Maybe all of us. I don't know.
Not.
Someday. But what would fit you? Are you thinking weekend?
Are you talking to me? I can, you know, as far as work goes, afternoons generally work better so I can get my work done during the day. I'm pretty flexible though, because I work from a home office. So it kind of just depends on what my schedule holds that day. But, you know, if we can block out maybe an hour and a half one afternoon recently, it's a warmer part of the day generally. Still pretty chilly in the mornings.
Second that.
If we want to try next Monday or.
Steve, would you be willing to be the guide? I think you know the park as well as anyone. You would be the guide and maybe we could talk about the whitewater park at the same time.
Sure.
So
Give us a chance to see what happened down the beach this weekend.
But I would like to also, I would like to point out some parts along the way too that I feel like really need to be, have some attention and some potential possibilities for better security or maintenance.
You're in the park just about every day, aren't you, Paige?
Most days. Mhm.
I would suggest that you do it on Tuesday instead of Monday, simply because I have a council meeting that day, but I'd like to go with you.
Okay.
As well.
So
I think Tuesdays were hard for Jan. What about next Wednesday?
Okay. Does that work for you guys? The 18th?
I could do this Wednesday too.
After 1 o'clock, maybe.
I don't want to do Monday because there's a council.
Oh, okay. No, I'm
Sorry, I don't want
good.
to put you guys out, but
I'm good any day.
So Wednesday,
the 18th,
at what time?
do you want to do 3 o'clock again? Does that work, or do you want to go a little bit earlier than that, or later?
It would give us about an hour and a half if we did it, you know, we got started.
3 o'clock work for you?
Yep, I could do Wednesday this week or Wednesday next week. That works for me.
When is this, Wednesday the 15th?
The 18th.
Oh, wait a second, I'll be gone this Wednesday. I can do it next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, the 18th, not tomorrow.
Yeah, not tomorrow,
Or
yeah, not
this
tomorrow.
Wednesday.
could we start at 2 so we have a little bit more
Yeah,
time?
we're gonna-
Okay,
I
you want
mean,
to
I
start
think
at 2 o'clock? Is that
If
okay,
if
Paige?
we're gonna go from Beach Park to, all the way to Whitewater Park, that's quite a walk, but we can do it.
I think we should start at the water intake and go downhill.
No, this is Wednesday the
18th.
That's a pretty good idea.
Wednesday, the 18th, 2 p.m. We'll meet at the,
Yeah.
should we meet at that parking
Go
lot down there?
downstream.
Okay, so meet at Tillman Falls parking lot. And then we'll walk down.
Walk to the intake. and-
Could you repeat that? Because I don't have my hearing
Oh,
aids
well, so
on
we're gonna
because
walk, the meeting will start at Tony Falls parking lot.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock
2
next
o'clock
Wednesday.
on
the
Wednesday,
18th.
and then we'll go up to the water intake building. And that way, and so we can talk about the handicap fishing app, and that's kind of the upstream.
The Hart Locker part.
That's the end of our park.
That's kind of the end of the park.
It
I mean,
is.
we
Yeah,
actually-
it's-
The land keeps going. So
Yeah.
But that would be the, anyway, so we'll start there, and then we'll walk down to Beach Park and see what has been completed there.
And actually, our property line is right above there.
No, actually, it goes up
all the way.
another quarter.
Yeah, quarter mile upstream. You can't legally fish below that water intake, and I believe that Art Blocker gave the property from there almost a quarter mile upstream to the city at one time to be used for a park. And it's pretty well wild at this time and has a lot of poison oak and other black bears and stuff that need to be taken out of there. And it's kind of been kept up there because there's plenty for us to work on down here.
Right.
But it has great potential in the future and may be a good place for a handicap access, you know.
So, yeah, I could show you the spot.
So then the week after that is Thanksgiving. Do you want to do Lampman Park the week after that? Just keep spacing them apart, or do you want to do them all in the same week?
The week after Thanksgiving would probably be fine for me on Lampman Park. That, like I said, that's one of those things that is kind of on the furthest reaches of your focus at the particular.
So that would be December 2nd. Same thing, 2 o'clock on that Wednesday, and that'll be for lanterns.
Okay. I've got problems hearing because these masks, and I put on glasses and I've been losing hearing aids, so I don't use them, but I will. Okay, I got the meeting the 18th, 2 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay, we meet where?
Tellmead Falls. the
Oh,
parking
yeah,
lot.
where you were
Yeah.
before.
And then Wednesday, December 2nd. we'll
Okay.
meet-
November 2nd?
December
December
2nd.
2nd, yeah.
That will be at Lamp.
That matter.
And
Okay,
we'll finalize that at the next chapter.
okay, time wise and everything. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Okay, if no one has further comments, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is just a chance for you to make any other comments that you want.
I'd like to say something. This young gentleman or young lady that has been helping us so much here. I like your ideas, especially about community input on this and stuff. And we've spent a lot of time and look forward to networking with you with any volunteering that we might be able to network on. One other thing, and I just can't remember what it was.
Stephanie.
I have something I wanted to ask you, Steve. Do you have a nonprofit status?
Well, the Gold Hill Whitewater Center is a 501c3.
Okay, that's what I assumed, and I think that answers one question. It's on the questionnaire.
Oh, and I don't, the Whitewater Park, the plan for the Whitewater Park, which is all of it, which has been available forever on goldhillwhitewater.org. And has been discussed in, usually, in council meetings forever. Anyway, all that property is owned by the city. It's not, there's no private property involved at all in the project. And it's either the city or the state, because the state probably owns the river. But in fact, all of the work.
State lands.
Well, yeah, and that was one thing I did, that's where I was meant to go earlier, is that some of our people who are city people here need to remember is that we're also part of the state and we're also part of a country. And this is the gateway to one of the most brilliant national parks we have at Crater Lake. And so we're kind of a window to the country as they travel through here to there, and that our ability to represent our state and our local community by what we do in this park is really important, because this park doesn't just belong to the citizens of Gold Hill. It belongs to the state of Oregon and the people that are in there and the people of this entire country. This is a federal waterway that goes through here, and a real important historic and scenic river. And it's going to be viewed by people from all over the world and all over our country. And we need to take pride in that. And a lot of people, I think, feel that we need to hide from society. And the truth is that this entrance to that park has been here since the creation of that park. And we're just part of the driveway in, and that we need to share the beauty that we have here, because it's not just ours, it's everybody in this country.
Yeah. Good point.
Right.
It is it is positioned right at the start of the Rogue-Umpqua Scenic Byway, which I think positions it to maybe attract some state funding to do some park improvements in the future. You know, I think that we do really need to be sensitive, however, to the voices that were not part of the Parks Master Plan, to help them see it now that it's posted online, and to raise questions about it as needed. You know, find out what alternatives may be, find out what the real hangups are. You know, if there's something in particular that's upsetting to them about the Whitewater Park, for example. I know there are people out there who are more in favor of the Whitewater Park, but not necessarily interested in having the Olympics. So we really need to get to the core of what the issues are. Is it the rock coming out? Can we have a Whitewater Park without the rock coming out? Is that even a possibility? You know, what are the hangups and what are the solutions? I think what we really need to be looking at. I think also, I'll say this, I hope I don't start anything, but I think as we select and make decisions about this very new body, that we need to be really thoughtful about earning public trust. I'll say that again. And, you know, as we look at staffing this with a chairperson and a secretary, thank you, Lorraine, so much for stepping up to that. I think we really need to be cognizant of having that be as neutral as possible. And, you know, if that means selecting it with that in mind, so that we can go into this having representation that is palatable for the community, that's what I'd like to see.
My opinion is that there are workers and there are talkers. And the amount of people you're going to get to do the work is probably less than 5% of the population. So I think that you have to respect people's opinions, but I personally respect the work a lot more. And so I know that this community is very divisive, and it's not always possible to please everybody, so I would just go ahead and start working.
All right, if no one else has any further comments, we will adjourn and then meet again on November the 18th at 2 p.m. at the Tillamy Falls parking lot. I will notice this, there will be an agenda for the meeting, so the public is invited to attend that meeting. All right, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
You're keeping us on task.